Hey everyone, it's Bennett Forrest, your Slacker Fantasy Football Commissioner, with one of the final weekly updates of the season as we head into the 2014 Super Bowl between Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy, former champion, and Third and Oolong, also another former champion. So we will have our second repeat champion in the 7 or 8 years of the Fantasy Football League of the ForrestLand MishMash. So, how did we get here? Well, let's go back a little bit to the Week 14 final week of the regular season, where we basically had the playoff teams wrapped up. We did have some seeding there where the Travelers were trying to win and stay in first place in the Mish division to avoid playing the juggernaut Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy. As you can see from the scoreboard here, he couldn't quite get it done, but with the Stallions' loss, it didn't matter. So the Travelers, based on their based on the 165-151 loss by the Stallions, the Travelers win the division, and they faced Third and Oolong last week, and the Stallions had to play Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy. Before we get to the playoff action, let's just make a quick note to the Real Slim Aussies, my team, who had a really terrible year, but finally had a real good outburst of the last week of the regular season to keep Ray Finkel from going undefeated. So we will not have a 72 Dolphins type season. Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy, who was just head and shoulders above everyone all year, only had 47 points, with the Real Slim Aussies scoring a league high 205. So let's back up to the standings really quick, just to show you how the regular season ended. Obviously, Ray Finkel, head and shoulders above everyone else. If you look at the scoring, wasn't even close, really. He had 2,300 points, which was, almost 200 more than the next most points. And so if you average that over 14 weeks, that's, 20 a game almost, 15 a game, something like that. So Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy, in spite of the loss last week of the season, easily the top-ranked team in the league. Third and Oolong with the second most points, and they came in second in the MASH division, followed by the Stallions, who had the third most points in the league, but just could not get over 500 and was at 7-7. So here are the final standings. As I mentioned, the Travelers win one division. They played Third and Oolong in the first week of the playoffs, and Ray Finkel played the Somerset Stallions. So let's take a look at the first week of the playoffs and how the scoring went. First off, just in spite of winning the division, just a huge disappointment for the Travelers. Only 86 points, not going to get it done. Not going to win any games, much less a playoff game. So they fall disappointing. No surprise here with Colin Kaepernick, the way his season went. But if you look, it's just not, other than Trey Mason, nothing terrible. But then again, nothing special at the same time. You got to be really I'll edit that out later. You got to be really disappointed at Trey Mason. I know a couple weeks ago when I played against the Travelers, Trey Mason had an unbelievable game. He had 117 yards, 2 touchdowns. Even against Washington, had a decent outburst. But against Arizona, 33 yards, a fumble, 1 point. Just not going to win anybody a playoff game in fantasy football. A.J. Green didn't do anything special. Even Jeremy Maclin, his best player, didn't do much. So just a god-awful day all around. Only 86 points. Kudos to Third and Oolong, who, in spite of only 7 points total, as you can see from Aaron Rodgers and Andy Dalton, got a nice, solid 143 points. Jeremy Hill, I know, had a really good game for Cincinnati against Cleveland. DeMarco Murray was his normal self, even though he broke his hand. Antonio Brown, same thing, his normal self. And then special note, of course, Rob Gronkowski as well. Special note to this guy, Charles Johnson. It's so funny. I was listening to the BS report, Bill Simmons, and he was talking about someone in his league had some no-name guy named C. Johnson the week before, week 14, come out of nowhere and have 101 yards and a touchdown. So just goes to show about fantasy. Sometimes you just can get one guy hot at the end of the season. I mean, this guy didn't play the first 4 games, only had 1 or 2 catches the next 5 games. Then all of a sudden in week 11, out of nowhere, he's got 6 catches, 3 catches, 4 for 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, and comes out of nowhere and probably helped a lot of people win their league. So Charles Johnson, good job for Third and Oolong for picking him up and starting him. So they get 143 points. They're on to the Super Bowl. Congratulations, Doreen. Now let's look at the other game. And again, not a lot of scoring here. If you'll see, Slim Ozzy's, just one minor note, had the most points 2 weeks in a row. So, that's small consolation after just a weak season all of a sudden. The Slim Ozzies are on fire. But otherwise, Ray Finkel did have the second most points in the league. And actually looking at it, Third and Oolong had the third most points in the league. So the two winners that are going to be facing off in the Super Bowl this weekend definitely deserve it. I'm not going to take anything away from either of those. Ray Finkel came back after losing his first game of the year in the end of the regular season. Even with Peyton Manning not doing anything, and Alfred Morris and Ben Roethlisberger, but really Dez Bryant, Randall Cobb, and just some other teens, just sort of like how the Travelers just didn't do terrible, but just didn't do good either. Ray Finkel, same thing. Didn't do spectacular other than Dez Bryant in his monster game against Philly, but just had enough other points, and it all adds up to a nice solid 154. Somerset Stallions, again, have to be disappointed, even with 31 points from Drew Brees. Nothing terrible either, just not quite enough of these double digits from Jonathan Stewart, Latavius Bryant, etc., to get up to 154. So the Stallions lose. Again, congratulations to Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy. Let's take a look. Let's do a little Super Bowl preview here as we look. And already, with last night's sleeper game, which has got to be the worst primetime game in the history of NFL football, which was the Jaguars and the Titans, Ray Finkel does get 9 points. So let's take a look at how this matchup's shaping up. Got 9 points from Delaney Walker, receiver for the Titans, tight end, who's had an up and down season, as you can see, had 200-yard games, and for the rest of the season just been sort of mediocre. But for a tight end, you just want 4 or 5 catches, so not bad there. Let's look at the line. The line is Third and Oolong is definitely in line for the upset. It has a 20-point spread right now. Looking to get points, have a comeback week from Murray and Dalton. Of course, DeMarco Murray is questionable, so that'll be interesting. Let's look at the benches to see who they might put in. Kendall Wright on the bench, so they're out. So if DeMarco Murray doesn't play, does she have another wide receiver or running back? It looks like it's going to be Lance Dunbar, who was probably picked up as a handcuff. That's a great pickup. So obviously it'll be a game-time decision to see if DeMarco Murray plays. And, of course, Pierre Thomas, who's been sort of just out there mediocre all year. Not even mediocre. Has only had a couple touchdowns. Hasn't done much. So Third and Oolong, that's going to be interesting to see if, A, DeMarco Murray plays, and if DeMarco Murray plays well, and B, if he doesn't play, if Dunbar's in, if she gets the information in enough time to start Dunbar. So we'll definitely keep a close eye on that. Ray Finkel, again, already has his tight end played and has the whole bench, the whole rest of the team ready to play. We have a lot of entries to keep an eye on as well. Peyton Manning is limited at practice. I would expect Peyton Manning to play, but it is a Monday night game. So if he doesn't play, if we don't know until Monday afternoon, Ray Finkel's looking like, and he doesn't even have any other quarterbacks. Well, he's got Josh McCown. So Ray Finkel's likely to live and die by Peyton Manning. If I were him, I'd leave him in no matter what. And then, of course, T.Y. Hilton, how's he looking? He's MRI came back negative, which is positive, so T.Y. Hilton will likely play as well Sunday afternoon. So should be interesting. A lot of points out there for both teams. We have Third and Oolong facing Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy for the 2014 Fantasy Football ForrestLand MishMash Championship. I wanted to do one thing before I go. First of all, I am going to name names. We have Scoop, Mayer, John Gallo, and Greg Forrest. All deadbeats, have not paid their league dues yet. I've contacted them outside, but I'm calling them outside in the post to remind them to just click on this tilt button. It's so easy. All you do is click on the Collect League Dues button. You click the ForrestLand MishMash League, and you put your name and information in. It couldn't be easier. So at this point, we just need 3 people left to put their money in, and that way the winner will get it right away. Won't have to wait for a check from me. All the money will be paid out timely as long as the last 3 people put their $25 in. I also just wanted to look at the history real quick to look at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is our 7th year. We had year 1, Ray Finkel, formerly Dolphins 38, Patriots 13, was 13-1 that season as well when they won. And then I think the third year, 2010, Third and Oolong won. So again, we're going to have the second repeat winner. One of these teams is going to win for the first time in at least 3 years, and we'll find out probably Monday night after the Monday night game. We'll see who wins the league championship. So thanks everyone. Sorry I haven't been posting every week. No excuse, but I've just been really busy, and wanted to get out and one last recap before the Super Bowl this week, and then of course I'll do a recap of the Super Bowl next week. So thanks for watching as always, and good luck to Third and Oolong and Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy in also the Stallions versus the Travelers in the consolation game. There is $25 on the line there. So good luck to all the playoff teams and everyone else playing out the string. I hope you had fun this season. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next week.